Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh. Okay. Here it comes.
You don't know this one, do you?
Whoa! You like that?
I do.
You can sing along if you want. Yeah, that's right. Gotta go falsetto in this part.
Oh my God. See, look, you already got 65 people watching Bob Log that haven't seen him before.
As they should, and I'm hoping all these people have seen it.
I haven't seen this in forever.
And this was on television, apparently.
Yeah, I know. I see that on Fox. How the hell did he get on Fox?
I can't believe he's not on Fox nightly. The correspondent for Tone.
Oh my God. Well, howdy, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome again. It is Tuesday night. It's 9 o'clock on the East Coast. And today I have one of my closest friends, and no joke, believe it or not, my favorite guitar player anywhere.
Oh.
And his name is Noah ENGH. He's hailing out of Oklahoma City these days. And if you read the title, you probably were like, "What the hell is this video going to be about?" And one of my favorite things about you, Noah, and for those of you that don't know, I mean, I put a link to your website in the description. Make sure you check them out. But the internet is just filled with people going on and on about their gear and their new pedal board and their special strings. And oh my sweet Jesus, they set up the guitar. You know, they had a unicorn do it. And, you know, they had the wood shipped in from East Indonesia, but not the bad part of East Indonesia.
No. And Southeast.
Right. And on YouTube and Instagram, people have 50 edits for a 50-second video, you know, and it's over and over again. And you send me pictures all the time of a buck knife on an amplifier with a hashtag that says Tone. And I just love it to death. Your whole vibe. I always have.
Well, listen, I mean, and thank you. You're my favorite guitar player too, and we've talked about this before. It's because we both kind of share a similar sense of humor in life and with music.
Yeah.
With things you shouldn't play and you should play, and things you shouldn't say and you should say.
That's right.
But that's my argument, is that nothing matters when it comes to tone. So you might as well carry stuff that makes you feel good. I use the ABCDs of guitar tone, and that's always be carrying dice, and you can use Bakelite dice or celluloid dice. You could use 2, you could use 3, but I'm telling you, if you have a buck knife in your pocket or if you got some dice in your pocket, you feel a little different. You feel a little different, and you might play a little different, because playing's all about feeling, right?
Well, no, I mean, that's totally true. And I think people that are watching this think that this is a joke, but it's not.
Of course they think it's a joke.
Yeah, it's
because it is a joke, but it's also true.
But that's also true. I think there is totally something to be said for, well, like, look what you're wearing right now. That you kind of sound the way that you look.
Would I play this? Would I play this lick sounding like this? No, I'd play this. It's different.
That's right. That's right. And
if I was wearing let's say if I was wearing a blue suit, that wouldn't have sounded the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And if I wasn't wearing a tracksuit, I couldn't, bird call the same way.
You couldn't do that. You could not bird call without a tracksuit. It's the way it makes you feel. It's the way it makes you feel. And you feel different when you play. Think about when you put on a suit for any other occasion. Let's say you go on a date with someone that you're really interested. I don't know. I haven't dated in a long time. We're both married. I don't know what dating is like in 2020. But let's say you get dressed up.
I don't think anybody's been on a date in 2020.
Like, are you going to act different with a muscle shirt on at Applebee's? Or are you going to act a little different if you wear a suit to Red Lobster? Like, you're going to act a little different. You're going to carry yourself a different way. I'm just saying, it's all true.
It's really funny. So, but it is true. So now you play in, is it a trio or does it kind of go up and down in Oklahoma City? And you make everybody wear a suit, right? You have two rules. Like, what is it? No suit and no sheet music.
No iPads on stage. I'm sorry if you're watching. You can't have an iPad on stage. You could do that in different bands, but yeah, you got to wear a suit in my band. We do a trio. I do a duo sometimes. I do solo shows, but we always dress the same, and it comes down to one word, and that's consistency. It's the same thing in the restaurant business. Consistency. Yeah. You show up looking the same way every way, and you play your best. People are gonna have you back. That's the whole goal, is to get invited back, repeat business.
Now, let me ask you this, man. Did you have trouble getting the grizzly bearded bass players and the overly sensitive drummers who can't take any anything except complete, total, amazing praise to put on the suit for a measly $100 bill?
First of all, measly is the wrong word. There are plenty of markets where you don't get paid that much to play bass for a night. I'll tell you that much right now.
I know.
But so this is it took a minute to get one of my guys to do it, and eventually I had to threaten his life and tell him that if he showed up wearing a shirt again to one of these shows, he's never going to come back. And the way you got to keep drummers honest, I'm sorry, we got to keep drummers honest. The way you got to keep them honest,
people need to know.
You got to let them bring one drum, just a snare drum. That's it.
So you don't have kicks?
No kick. No. Only a snare drum and brushes. You got to let the bass do the work.
But
I love my drummer. I love my drummer.
No, but I bet that leads to a really balanced sound and a lot of control in rooms like like you play at that one cigar bar where I'm sure they don't want you to be so loud that people can't have a conversation. And if you
we play everywhere. And a lot of a running theme when you gig inside at clubs is concrete.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you run into concrete floors, you run into concrete walls. Like you gotta basically, your hand is the EQ pedal, your right hand every single time. You gotta and I play with no effects. We'll get into that in a second. But if I'm playing, loud in a small club, and I'm playing this arch top, and I hit anything on my low E for more than a half a second, it's gonna go. So you got to control it. But yeah, it's all about dynamics. We play loud, we play soft, and it's about how drunk people get.
Yeah. So we have a couple questions. One, they want to know what we're drinking. I'm having a Birdhouse Pale Ale, a Baltimore special. What are you having?
Oh, I'm having a little bit of Alabama Whitewater that a friend gave me.
That's good. And now on to the serious questions here. If you look at your screen, FM wants to know, why aren't you crushing a menthol cig right now?
I'll tell you what. You want to know why? Because I'm not playing a Strat. If I was playing a Strat right now, I would smoke a menthol right now. I am playing an arch top, which means if I'm going to smoke, it's going to be pipe tobacco.
Well, let me ask you.
It's all about mixing and matching.
Yeah. Now, do you think tobacco stained and smelling fingers affects your tone? Because I feel like it has to. I feel like you got to stick a little bit. Stick and go.
Listen to me.
Listen.
You're absolutely right. And anyone that says differently is completely wrong. I mean, listen, if you're let's say you're playing like a 2-set night, standard, you're playing 2 hour-and-a-half sets, you know,
right.
And you're a little green on the first set and you're getting your energy going. And then on the second set, maybe you smoke a cigarello or something and you got that stink on you. Right. And then you get back to it, you turn your amp on, you stink a little bit, the stink mixes with the sweat and you play better. I do.
Yeah, that's definitely true. There's a window you have to hit. It's like you know, when it's really, really, really hot outside and the venue forgets to put a tent up over you, you know, and you had to run an extension cord for like 300 feet and you happen to wear a light blue shirt when everybody else in the band is wearing black, you know, and you're sweating all the way through it. You know, sometimes you got to just go out to the car. You got to slam a couple Coors Lights and rip one and come back and start over again. And sometimes that gets the mojo.
That's right. That's right. And that's fair because you have to treat yourself right. And you got to give yourself every opportunity to succeed is what it comes down to. You can't shortchange yourself. Every opportunity to succeed, you got to give yourself.
That is hilarious. All right. So why don't if you don't mind, would you
what are we doing?
Give us an example of something you've been working on lately, and then we'll talk about actually what your guitar and rig and everything is, because I'm sure people are very curious what it is all this nonsense talk actually sounds like.
Well, you want to play along with me a little bit? We'll do a little something called Stoli Shuffle.
The lag might not let us.
Are we a little lag? All right. I'll give you a little bit of it. All right.
Yeah.
I'll give you a pass, and then I'll give you a little 2 weird little passes from. All right, you ready? So let's say we're doing something like this. I might do something like this. I might do something like that.
Dude, see, that's what I'm talking about.
I might do something like that. I don't know. I might not.
Yeah, see, and that's what I mean. You look the way you play the way you look. And when we used to live out of a car for 4 years, you looked and played very differently.
I looked like I lived in a car. Yeah, of course. Now, I think it's important to, and you know, I think no matter what genre you're in, because I have, people have a hard time labeling what I do. I just tell people it's fine American roots music. But whatever genre you do, you got to dress for it. And I think if you do any type of American roots music, be it jazz or blues or country blues or Piedmont blues or Delta blues or whatever, you know, if I go to see you play and you're wearing sandals, well, to hell with you.
You know, I played in a band, you know, for many years. And the first gig I did, I showed up in sandals and the dude looked at me and he was like, "You're fired. Now you have to earn your job back."
But that was the band you were in for a long time, right?
It was, but the point was, he was like, "You're here so you can play today, but you can't play tomorrow unless you earn it tonight." You know, he was pissed.
Yeah, I mean, but you know, he's got to pay the cost to be the boss. He's the boss.
That's right.
You know, if you were the boss, you could have fired him for not wearing sandals.
That's true. And you know what? He was right. Now, Scotty's Hobby wants to know if you play any harp as well. I know the answer.
I do play some harp. Yeah.
Have you been doing it for this gig, or does that not make sense?
No, it doesn't make sense. Let's see. Where's my harp at? Oh.
Dude, I told you guys would love him. He's amazing.
Oh, Lord. It's been a minute. I gotta dust the broom off on that. That brings me to a funny point, though.
Yeah.
So, about when I moved to Oklahoma City, and I started gigging a lot, and I started playing just these long nights, and I got sick of my licks really fast, and so I was listening to a lot of harmonica players, and I was listening to this Charlie Musselwhite recording, and he's playing harmonica in third position, which is kind of a minory position, and he played this 5-lick, and I've stolen it, and I've played it over every 5 you can imagine. And it goes like this. So like, so you're in A, here comes a 4. Here comes that 1. And here's the 5-lick. Back to the 4. How cool is that?
I love it.
And that's straight up a harmonica lick. So you're hitting the 4 over 5.
Yeah, love it. Flat
it's
7.
so nasty. It's so nasty.
I always found it really hard to pick up licks from other instruments, but I've every time I've spent the time to do it, I've always found that I've always kept those licks.
Have you tried lifting organ licks?
No.
So I know you've lifted saxophone licks because we all have just the whatever. Yeah. That
exactly.
Dude, snag some organ licks. That I'll send you some stuff. It's wild.
Dude, I would love to hear some stuff. All right, so we have some more questions. Indie Dead would like some background on the 4 years in the car apartment.
Well, you want some background, huh? Everyone doesn't get what they want all the time, but I guess you can have it.
It's the choice. The choice is yours, my friend. But I'll preface it and say that I don't believe you had an actual mailing address for what?
From let's see, the end of 08 to 2011. So 8, 9, 10, 4 years. 8 to 11. Yeah. So what happened was I played in bands out west and toured around, and then I got sick of singers.
Yeah, they're terrible. They're the worst.
We all do because they're terrible. Their lead singers are just awful. They're just the worst kind of people you can ever imagine.
That's right.
And and I got sick of them, so I decided to start booking my own tours and going on the road solo. And I did that, and I just kept doing it for 4 years at about 250 shows a year. And I lived in my car, and when I wasn't in the car, I was in a Motel 6 getting drunk on Evan Williams and smoking Marlboro 27s.
Well, and to that note, Bryant Patterson says, "I'm afraid to dress for the occasion. Here I am with my dirty work shirt and jeans, but my beer is cold."
What kind of music do you play?
Right.
I mean, what did you eat for lunch? I need to know more details.
Was it?
I've just got a work shirt.
Was it cold steak on hand? So to give you guys a little background, so Noah and I actually met out in California when we both attended GIT,
which I didn't quite last more than 6 months at.
Dude, it was the hardest thing I ever did.
Yeah,
I mean, you know
got
me.
The goal. I didn't make it.
Yeah, I mean, you know me. I mean, I didn't know how to read. I didn't know any theory. My ear was trash. I always
now to be fair, I still don't know any of that stuff.
Yeah, but to be fair, your ear is out of control. Where I had to really, really use my brain to make my ear catch up.
Well, you were born with unreal dexterity. Was your problem? Is that you had the best hands in the business and you had to learn what to do with them? If anyone hasn't seen Mike play banjo, you should probably do a banjo video pretty soon.
You know, talk about been a minute. You know, like for you on the harp, it has been a minute for me on the banjo. I think my banjo is so corroded. I'd probably get. I'd need a tetanus shot after playing it. But,
hey man, there's no. Hey, look, someone said something. Someone liked that I was drinking Evan Williams and Marlboro 27s. LOL. Thanks.
See, look, you can even
Fantasy
Kingpin's the man. So I can click on that and bam, he gets up on the thing.
Oh, hey, and he should. And he should.
This guy, look at this. He goes, "Just Coke." Who's this guy think he is? Oh, Evan Williams. Guess we're brothers.
I love YouTube.
Yeah.
Where's all that hate? There's not as much hate as there usually is on YouTube.
Oh,
has that gone down over the years? I haven't paid attention.
No. It comes and goes, peaks and valleys, like anything else, my friend.
I want someone to come on here and like school me that I don't know anything about jazz, because it's true. Because that would be a good conversation.
All right. So I'm actually deeply curious about this too, and we've talked a little bit about it. But you're like totally starting to figure it out, and you and I always joked for years and years and years that like we were probably never going to get to a place where we started to figure out. I'm still there. You're past there. Tell me about this.
I wouldn't say I've figured it out. I've always been a lick
figuring
guy, you know?
it out. Like you're on the road. I'm not even on the road.
Well, but you could be in about 2 days if you put your head to the grindstone and you didn't have to do anything else. But
I don't think so. But that's generous of you.
I mean, jazz is as far as I can. Jazz is like the final frontier for a guitar player. I mean, like, and I'll never claim to be a jazz guitar player. But what I like to do, and for nobody really knows this, but I'm pretty damn dyslexic. So that caused problems with reading music, theory for sure, any type of math failed out of. So I learn in shapes. Mm-hmm. And so all my chords I see in shapes. I see patterns. I don't know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing, but I don't know what it's called, Yeah. But when I got into, because I think you and I always kind of played around with chromaticism with kind of like as a joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just digging around, But there's so many like lines in bebop guitar where that is not only all right, but it's encouraged. And as long as you tie it in with something, like it can make sense. Like this line. Where am I? I don't know what that is, but it sounds cool as shit.
Yeah, what was that?
I don't know. It was an A. And you're starting on the 5. So you're walking down to that whatever it is. Yeah, and then you're just moving it down.
Oh, I see. Yeah. I actually like doing licks like that, but it never sounds. The passing tones never sound jazzy. It always sounds country.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. That's why I don't consider myself a jazz guitar player. So check this out. This is something I was thinking about the other day. I do this song in our set. It's an old song. It's called Champagne Charlie. And when you're playing first position in C, there's all that bluegrassy stuff you can do. Let's say your vamp is this. So how could you get into that? You could go like this. Right? Or you could go. Or you could do this weird chromatic thing. You could go. And that's the coolest one.
Yeah. I hear you.
So it doesn't, but to answer your question, no, I would never claim to be a jazz guy, but I think doing jump blues and bebop are something that I can at least grab onto.
Yeah.
But like as far as like avant-garde jazz, no, forget about it. I need to at least know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, I think, and tell me if this has changed for you. I'm sure the answer is yes. But my biggest problem with it is that I don't listen to it, and so I don't hear the phrasing in my head. And so I'm very much a rhythm first player. And so if I don't hear the phrasing, I don't hear the notes.
Yeah.
And
so you should listen to. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, I'm just saying I understand theory, forwards and backwards, and I can play anything I want if I hear it. But even when I'm on YouTube and I'm like, you know what, let me try a random jazz standard, and they even have the freaking chords going across the screen to follow. I got nothing. I
mean, I got nothing either.
In my head.
I'll tell you what you can do though. You could pick apart a Charlie Christian solo. So he does. So what's cool about Charlie Christian, and I'm no historian, I'm no professional on Charlie Christian, but that guy doesn't move around a lot for a jazz guy, and he was one of the first electric jazz guys, But he's always just sticking around. Just right in there, just kind of like he doesn't move that much around. And he is a genius player, and I'm nowhere near what he does, but it's just blues plus for some of those licks, and you can pick that stuff up. You just, as long as you have that base of the blues, you can get into it. But
you're breaking up. You there?
Oh, I'm here.
All right, good. Yeah, I mean, I know that that's true. I definitely know that that's true. All right, well, shoot me a track or two in the next day. That's like an introduction, like where to start.
Absolutely.
All right, so people are liking your shoes too.
Yeah, you like this? See, you can make an argument that you'd play a little different if you had socks on like this. You know what I mean?
How could you not?
You'd play more fun.
Yeah.
And music's all about having fun. As you and I always say, there's a lot of people that are too damn serious that play guitar, especially on the internet.
Oh my God, they're so serious. It's unbearable.
You gotta have some fun. If you have socks on like this, you can just go ahead and do this right here. Watch this. And you can snap at the end of it, and people will be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I understand that.
I accept what that man is doing.
I accept what he's doing because he looks like he means it.
Now, let's talk about what you're actually playing through. Are you playing through that little pig nose over there?
No, that's just for show because I knew that you would like that. I've got over here off camera, I've got a Fender Blues Junior, and that's all I use. I stick a mic on it when I play, and I run it through the PA ever so lightly.
Yeah.
Because we're not a loud band. We can get loud if you want, but it's also good if you have a wooden ashtray to go in front of your amp.
Dude,
it kind of blocks some of the sound. But that's all I'm using. And before I got this arch top, which is a 1990.
What is that thing? People are already asking. They're saying it looks like an Epiphone.
Well, this is an Epiphone, and let me tell you, there's going to be some kid that's never played a gig in his life that's saying, "Well, it's not a Gibson." It doesn't matter. One, a Gibson 400 costs 10 grand. So if you can spot me 10 grand, absolutely. But this is a 1998 Epiphone Broadway.
Yeah.
And I got it used, and I can tell you that the bridge or this has been replaced. The bridge has been replaced. The knobs have been replaced. But I love it to pieces. And the cool thing is they never manufactured them in black.
Really?
And this just says you can't see it, but it's stamped used on the back. And I've heard theories that it was a trade show guitar in 98. Because it doesn't look like a refin. It looks like a black Epiphone Broadway. But if you Google black Epiphone Broadway,
doesn't exist.
You ain't gonna find one. So I got lucky with it.
So you don't even want the Gibson. You probably play better stuff on that anyway, because no one else can play it. No one else has it.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm all about custom. Like if it's like stuff that's custom. But I also like being able to play junk that no one else can.
So this we're gonna go back to the rest of your rig and everything, but this is also one of my very favorite things about you, because I feel like very few people share this sentiment that I actually don't, think about how my guitar is set up or whether it's ready, whatever. I actually really enjoy having gear that other people can't play. Like
That's huge for me.
yeah, it's huge. I like this thing. This thing,
A bullet. Yeah.
I mean, it's an 82 bullet. The truss rod's popping out the back. The neck has been broken off. It's been refretted 3 times. It won't take any more frets. The intonation is complete dog shit.
Would you like some more frets? No.
No, you can't have any. You're all done, sir. We've broken this off so many times. We had to drill these, and people go to pick this thing up, and they play, but you have to have the, like it. It's like you can't play the stuff you play on this. Like you can only play what it lets you. And
exactly.
I love that about guitars. I like guitars that only let you play the way they let you.
You know why? That's why I like tellies so much, because like you can input so much of your personality into a Telecaster.
Yes.
It's insane. If you are playing a telly through a Fender with no effects, pretty quick a lot of things about that person. If their father liked them, if they treat women with respect, what they drink, what they smoke. Within 3 notes, I could tell you all that stuff of anyone that's watching right now. If you picked up a telly and put it bare bones through a Junior, I would tell you everything you need to know about you.
You know what?
But no, it's true. I used to love playing like old Stella or Stella parlor guitars and stuff where the action's this high off the strings.
Yeah,
and just to show people I could fret it.
Yeah. Dude, no, I love that. I like when necks have little dead spots, and you have to figure out how to play around them.
Exactly. And that's the thing about moving air. I think you were the person that introduced that phrase to me, by the way, moving air around. I don't know if I'd ever heard that before you told me that. But,
yeah, I refer to it as throwing slabs across the room. You know what I mean?
Well, and if you're throwing slabs across the room, you got to bounce it to the wall and back.
You got to the wall and back.
So there's probably some kids watching that maybe haven't played a live gig, and they're looking forward to it, and it's going to be great when they do it. But man, everything you think about guitar playing and your licks that you're learning and that you think you're mastering, man, once you get in a club and you get in front of people and you turn up and you are moving air, all those licks sound different. And you got to go right back to the drawing board, and you got to redo all your licks and redo how you play because you're moving air around.
Dude, it is so true. And the air is different in every room. The power is different in every club. I can't tell you. I mean, anybody that's done a fair amount of gigs knows this. But if you have stuff at home, you got all your gear, you're in total control. You figured out your tunes, your licks to go with it. Everything sounds good. And then you get up on stage and you're at some open air place and they're using a generator and your amp's down to like 112 volts and everything you have sounds like complete trash. And it's how it is, man. It doesn't even have to come down to the power, but there's something that happens when you play live in a room. You start moving air with people, or whether it's you, whether it's your gear, whether it's your actual, licks or whatever, it doesn't work the same as if you're home or in the studio. That's something I've never understood about guys that are great players, but never gigged, because I feel like you can only figure so much out in a room by yourself.
Oh, I'm pretty much I'm the opposite, but I've had to overcome that over the years. Now, I finally adapted my live playing to my studio playing. for the longest time, I'd be the player in the studio that did 3 licks. We got to start again, and you just start again. And then, eventually I was like, I'm just going to do this like I do it live. And I'm going to do full takes. I think that's very important if you're laying down guitar tracks. Do full takes.
Yes.
Don't stop. You can cut it up later if you really want, but full takes is where it's at.
I don't know how people don't do it full takes. I mean, frankly, I don't know why they would want to do it piecemeal. Like if you can't, it's like if you're having a conversation with someone or saying a speech, you can't write one sentence and have someone else write another sentence and come back 3 days later and write another sentence. If it doesn't flow, you're not saying anything.
I completely agree. And that's why a lot of guitar players do this. I'll pretty much know how I'm going to start a solo and how I'm going to end it. And then I mess around in the middle. That's kind of what I usually
know more than I ever did there.
Yeah, but the start, I like the start better than I like the end, because the ending, that's where I always find the weirdest licks, is the turnarounds.
I don't know. Sometimes I start as weird as can be and end up with just like a super 3-note simple melody with great vibrato, but I start with like a freaking out of key dive bomb and just because.
All right, guys, you ready?
And they're like, can you do it? Can you do it a different way? And I'm like, you can hire someone else.
And that, what? That brings me to another point too. Is like, man, the older I get and the more I gig, like I do nothing that I don't want. What am I trying to say? There's nothing I play that I don't want to play. You know what I mean?
Totally and completely true.
That's why I work for myself when I gig. If someone told me, "Hey, could you play a little differently?" I couldn't handle it at this point in my life. I just feel like, listen, I'm weird as shit. Everyone knows I'm weird as shit. If you wanted someone that was very, on the books, go get Johnny. Get him.
Like, look, I put a suit on a Tuesday evening to go play guitar, have a smoke and a drink in my garage, which I've made up. Like, you can call someone else. I can give you their number.
Hey, originality. I've always been a big fan of originality. I get that from my mother. My mother's a violently original person. So
violently original.
Violently original. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, your webcam is coming in and out here. It's getting a little grainy. It's all right. It's all right. Look, people want to know, does a Puma jogging suit increase left arm dexterity? And the answer is it absolutely does. It absolutely does. So I actually look, this whole tracksuit thing kind of started because I have no time, and I started wearing them running because my kids got into soccer and they started wearing tracksuits, and I was like, man, tracksuit's kind of great. And so I was like, Anna, fire me up 2 Pumas. And so she ordered them to me. And then I started running with them in the morning, and then immediately started doing my exercise. So now I'm in this routine where I work out in the morning, like before the kids wake up usually. And then I do like an hour or 2 of just straight dexterity, exercise, finger strength, nothing musical at all. And so in that weird backwards way, I know we're being funny, it does, because I work out and then I work out and then I do something musical later in the day after breakfast happens with the kids and everything.
I mean, my kid wakes up at like 4 a.m., so there's no waking up before my kid. I'd have to get up at 3.
You only have one. That's not real parenting.
That's true. That's true. I'm going to give you that.
Oh, that's hilarious. All my friends with one kid hate that joke.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That makes me think of this lick. That's what that makes me think.
That was that Junior Brown lick. If you guys haven't,
that was a Junior Brown lick. Yeah.
All right, so let's go back to, so you're playing through the Blues Junior. Are you bone dry? Do you put any verb or slap or anything on there?
You know, when we play as a trio with upright bass and a snare drum, I use an MXR carbon copy for slapback. But even sometimes with the trio, I won't. So I'm just naked, and my settings are reverb 1, master 10, middle 0, bass 10, treble 4.
See,
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. How many people can pick up that rig and sound coherent? Bass 10, treble 4, reverb 1.
You'd sound pretty muddy, you know. But it works if you. I play a very specific kind of music, and especially if I'm doing a lot of kind of hybrid picking, where you really have to dial in, like for instance. It really pays to have that bass, because that's my drum. You know, that really anchors the whole thing.
So the other thing that I love about you is you're the only other guy that I know besides me that does the flick and pick, like to get the sound of the kick and snare on the drum. You know, like doing that.
And you got the Waylon Jennings thing going. I mean, it's all, you know, if you want to play any kind of Travis picking or any kind of rhythmic playing at all, you have to have that right hand.
You'd be surprised. I mean, you wouldn't be surprised, but I was always endlessly surprised by the amount of people that just don't really maximize the boom, like the kick drum capability, especially out of an acoustic guitar.
Dude, if you're like at a club and you're playing and you're the solo instrument and you're playing guitar and you're loud as shit and the place is sold out and you're just going like this, that sounds like a freight train coming through the club. It just does, and it sounds great, and it's all in the right hand.
Yeah, no, they're asking if you sleep in a suit.
to some degree.
Now, actually, here's a funny question, or a good one. Jake, I appreciate the kind words. You know, he makes cigar box guitars. I've actually never owned a cigar box guitar. Jake, you can shoot me a message. I'd love to try one of yours. But Noah, I know you have some cigar box guitars.
I mean, I got two right here. I've got this one was made by John Lobo, who this guy probably knows who that is.
John Lobo.
Yeah, let's see if I can make this sound. I haven't played this in a long time. I don't even know if it works. Let's see.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, this one says, Lobo is shorty number 60. To Noah, long may you wail. Nah, it doesn't work anymore.
There it goes.
It goes in and out.
Now, is that a broom handle?
Yeah, this is a broom handle. That's what you'd expect, though.
Now, what about that other one behind you? That's also a cigar box guitar, right?
Let's see, I got a 4-string one here made by, I don't know who made this. This was a gift to someone I don't talk to anymore. No, that one doesn't work at all. So if you make cigar box, I'd love to see some. Drop a link in the thing. I want to see them.
Yeah, let me go back. Yeah, Jake, seriously, if you shoot a link to your site if you have one, and we'll go from there. Love to see it. Love to see it. Let's see. What else do we have here? What else do we have here? Anybody have any other questions?
Well, I think we got to get into a little bit of a.
I love it. Take the lead.
Well, there, just like anything in life, knowledge is power.
Yeah.
I think there's some. I'm going to call it mandatory reading for getting better with guitar.
Let's do it. I have no idea what you're about to say.
And I'm going to start with Hold'em Poker for advanced players. Now, hear me out. Hear me out. Now, if you're sitting there and you're playing a gig and,
yes.
you're just shitting the bed, you can just imagine that you get dealt big slick. Let's say you get an ace king and you flop 2 aces. That makes you a little excited. I think you should play a little better. And it's good reading. Now, also, if you're feeling like gambling a little more on your playing, I recommend picking up Amarillo Slim in a World of Fat People, who is a famous Texas proposition gambler. Okay.
Yeah.
You read all about these guys, you'll play better. I swear to God. And the last finally thing I'm going to say is that if you're not reading Bukowski, then to hell with you, because you need, if you want to play dirty, you got to read dirty. You know what I mean? It doesn't get much more dirty than the notes from the dirty old man himself. So pick up some Bukowski, even poetry if you want, and watch those licks fly. You know what I mean?
Now, you also have some card tricks and actually bring dice to your shows too. Now, you find that the audience appreciates this and it adds to the overall enjoyment of the evening?
Like I said, to hell with them if they don't enjoy it, because usually that's how you're just splitting up tips. You're not playing dice with the people there. Now, you can play just 2 dice. You can play craps if you want. You can play street craps. But if you're in my band, you prefer to play what's called CeeLo. Now, that's 3 dice. And when you're carrying 3 dice in your pocket, that's a little more weight. So you're going to play a little heavier, right? And just remember, if you hit a 4, 5, 6, that's an automatic win. 1, 2, 3, automatic lose. And then you got to establish a point and trip speed point. So learn CeeLo if you want to get a little better at guitar. And then you can also pull one of these out, just a little card out of nowhere right there. And if you're playing bad, just pull a card out of nowhere and watch people forget about that note you just played. You know,
it's already gone.
It's already gone. What note? This guy's a magician.
Now, do you do it mid-set like Dale Watson and Chicken Shit Bingo?
I haven't busted that out in Chicken Shit Bingo yet. We should start gambling mid-set though, because I got this made. So I got this made specifically. I got this made right before the world shut down for coronavirus. So normally when you got a band and you've got a tip jar and people throwing some money and whatever, but I thought, well, if you had a tip jar that was also a craps table, that someone would want to come roll some craps with me for money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So next time you're in Oklahoma City, you can roll them bones with me. This was made by my friend Joshua Polachek. And I have one and you don't. So, yeah, you got to get creative. And like you said, you got to carry a buck knife with you.
Well, on that note, I'm bringing in my friend whom I don't think you've met. I'm not sure. But his name is Blake Kane. And Blake's here with us now. And he also
I see.
Yeah, he also wholeheartedly agrees that a buck knife and a buck knife alone substantially changes the tone of an amplifier.
It does.
Well,
I want to hear your thoughts on it, Blake.
I'm actually a Benchmade guy, but the theory still stands.
It does, but
is that a type of knife? Noah, what type of knife do you prefer?
I prefer buck, but that's just because that's what I've always carried. And I wish I could carry the wood handle, but I don't want to. I can't. I wear a suit, so I can't have the holster for it. So I gotta go with the clip one. But the key is you got to sharpen it before and after the show. And I do keep a sharpener in my guitar case.
You keep a knife sharpener in the guitar case?
That's right.
and no extra strings.
No extra strength.
I do have a sharpener in every bag and in my glove box. So I'm
See, there you go. So what kind of knife do you use?
I've been a Benchmade guy for a while. This is the one that I took to Michael's house when we first found out. He told me about you like a year and a half ago when I went down to his house.
Now, is that spring assisted?
No, it's not.
See, when you play with
pulley system.
Oh, okay. When you use spring assisted knives are really good for double stops, as most people know. But when you got to use your thumb, it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, there's some Kershaw stuff I've had like that'll flip spring assisted, but
oh yeah,
these lights are a little aggressive tonight. I keep whiting out my white face. I'm Irish. Don't count me against it.
It's all good. We're all white here.
So Noah, Blake also has one kid, fairly new. He just got him to bed.
Congratulations.
I took notes, by the way, for 20 minutes on stuff I thought was funny. And the one kid joke that you brought up is hilarious to me. But you've never told me that before. I just think you're crazy for what you're doing. But with that said, I don't hate the joke. I just,
think I'm crazy.
She knows what I like, and I know what she won't do. So, I mean, it's worked out quite all right for this point. Don't ask. Not telling you.
All right.
My kid has made it his point in life to be an only child.
Yeah, I think mine would do the same if I had another on accident. I think he would probably go ahead and put the kibosh. So my other two notes, though, real quick, I'll just get to it fast. Number one, Noah, you're like John Leguizamo and John Mayer had a baby. I like it.
Oh,
it's very nice with a little bit of Chicago wit to you. I don't know where you're from, but that's what I feel.
Minneapolis originally, so I'll take Chicago. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Secondly, guitars that people can't play. I'm left-handed, bro.
That's right. Nobody can play it.
I'm also a singer, so I'm sorry to both of you.
But you do play guitar. A singer that doesn't do anything is what we're talking about.
Oh yeah, we fired that guy in junior year of high school when I started taking vocal lessons.
and that guy's in prison right now.
I think that might have been why we fired him. He was going down a path I didn't agree with, but I think he's all right. And then the last thing, Noah, you were talking about shapes in theory.
Yeah.
I'm a color guy. Certain things to me are blue, certain things are green, certain things are purple. So yeah. I hear you because I'm stupid when it comes to numbers too. I'm not. Man, you might as well just.
I've never been a color guy, but I know exactly what you're talking about. But that's cool. I wish I saw in colors.
Yeah, I mean the only math class I was ever any good at was geometry. And that's
me too. That's the only one
shapes.
I passed. I got held back twice in high school. That was ridiculous. But yeah, I remember geometry. I took it and I was like, oh, all right. Yeah, I can do that.
Symmetry, I understand.
How did you get to GIT when you were 18 if you got held back twice in high school?
No, held back twice. You can make it up. It's public high school. It's not like it was a private high school.
Oh, yeah. so you got socially promoted is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I got B+ in art.
I once had to go to summer school for a religion class in a Catholic high school because I was skipping. The religion class was in the basement of the auditorium where the guitar classes were held.
Yeah. So
I would go to the bathroom every day and go upstairs and play guitar for a half hour.
There you go.
And
that's why they called you long shits.
Yeah, I had to go to summer school. Yep. They thought I had IBS before it actually happened.
Well, Noah, before we wrap it up here, I mean we got oodles of time, but I saw a couple questions. People asking what other guitars you have that you like to play back there.
You know, in my garage, I don't have. I'll show you a special one. This is a gutted 1956 Jimmy Reed Twin Thin. Obviously, it doesn't have any of the stuff in there.
Yeah.
But this is one of my favorite guitars of all time. It doesn't sound that much different when it has pickups in it.
Who the hell else is playing that nonsense?
But I got some tellies. I've got some custom things. I've got a great custom telly made by my friend David Aldrich. But
Jason
I tend
says
to
show him the warmer.
show him the. I don't have that in the garage, Jason. I'm sorry. But I like to be able to play everything. But once I get something I like, I stick with it until it dies. So I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play this until it falls apart.
You know, I wholeheartedly subscribe to that too. I've never understood people that have like 20 different guitars that play a different one all the time. I feel like everybody I looked up to when I was learning to play, and all the heroes that everybody played like one thing, and there's something to playing one thing and you getting better, at that one thing than changing it.
Finding your own tone. And I was thinking about this earlier, when you're talking about people that have their own tone, like, let's take Slash, for example.
Yeah.
There's tons of young kids, and I was like this. I wanted a Les Paul and a Marshall, and I had one, and you could take any kid, any guitar player that's a phenomenal guitar player, and you could give him a Les Paul and whatever Slash was using. He was using Marshall Jubilees, I think, in '87.
Yep.
And you put those together and you play Sweet Child of Mine, and it will sound nothing like Slash.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with Billy Gibbons. Billy Gibbons has talk about a setup that no one else can play.
Isn't he
Billy
playing
Gibbons? Dude, Billy Gibbons uses 7-gauge strings.
Right.
He goes direct into some weird thing where it's heavy metal settings. It's all gain, all bass, no treble. And then he plays direct into some digital thing. No one else would sound good with that.
Yeah, I thought he played into literally a solid state crate amplifier.
I thought it was all those magnetones nowadays.
He does have magnetones for the last couple tours, and from what I hear, those are live. So I guess he does play through those, but they are heavy metal settings with just all gain, all bass. Yeah. But no one else would sound like him. You can't, with that much gain, he still manages to roll it down a little bit and play the intro to LaGrange, and it's pretty smooth. You know what I mean?
I don't know how with string gauges that light and that much gain, how you don't just sound like just a wobbly, noodly mess.
Didn't your boy just do a video on that? Rick Beato? He did a whole thing about string gauges and trying to prove theories wrong. He
did do a video on that. And I know that Rhett Shaw did a follow-up video on that. And basically, the argument is that these guys that you always thought had this huge tone and played really, really hard, a lot of them, like Angus Young is another one, where they actually had an incredibly light touch and didn't play that hard, but juiced the bejesus out of the amplifier and let the string and the amplifier do all the work. And very rarely, even if you see them it looks like they're crushing it, very rarely did they do the Stevie Ray Vaughan thing where they're just trying to rip the strings off it. Most of the time it is the amp and a skinny string, letting that skinny string bloom with a really light touch. And that's something I've never tried.
You know that Stevie Ray Vaughan went from 13s to 11 after he got sober?
Huh.
No.
Yeah,
no more coke, no more 13s.
Yeah, exactly. He played 13s. was coked up all the time. When he got off coke,
couldn't control his bends of vibrato, so he had to fight it to the point of injury just to make it through.
I just read his. I love Stevie Ray Vaughan. I've never been that guy to have a Strat and do his thing. But I read a great book called Texas Flood that is really good if you want to read more about him and you want to.
That's not an autobiography, though, right? Someone else did that?
Nah, that's just a biography.
Yeah, I've never messed around with super heavy or super light strings or anything like that. I've always preferred to have my amp, really juiced up in the power section and use my hands and volume knob for gain instead of having pedals. But I've never tried to change the whole way I play and move towards a lighter touch and a lighter string. But apparently that's like a secret that works. You know, BB King's another one. You know, it's like eights or something.
Eights. BB King use eights. Yeah.
I still think it's all
work
subjective,
smarter, not harder. I used 10s for years and years and years, and I finally switched to 11s with arch tops, and just because they sound. The one thing I've noticed is that if you want to play that kind of like that bebop stuff and like make your telly or whatever sound a little more jazzy, going to those bigger gauge strings is a big help.
Yeah.
So if you're playing naked, like a Fender through a Fender, I would go like 12s.
Interesting.
Because you're just going to get, unless you want to play super Bakersfield, plinky.
Yeah. So Jaw Shop wants to know if you have any suitcase speakers in your room. No.
I had one time I was playing in Redding, California, and I went to a pawn shop and I got a Silvertone suitcase amp with that guitar in it, and they didn't know what they had. I got it for $70. And then I played it for the next like 6 nights, and then it blew up, and I gave it to somebody.
Here you go.
So no, I don't have any more. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
BV, good to see you, brother. I didn't know if you'd be up. He says his friend Andy Aladort co-wrote the Texas Flood book. So there you
nice.
go.
Well, it's a great book. I enjoyed it. So
thanks, BV. I greatly appreciated. And Fantasy, I saw you on there. Thank you guys for moderating. Lots of fun. I appreciate it. I can't see who else was up there. Anybody else have any other questions? Anything else you wanna go over? What do we leave out tone wise? What about your ring? Do rings help?
You know what? They do. And if anyone says any different, they're lying. Because if you've got, let's see, it's kind of light, especially if you're look at this. Especially if you're pointing at people, like during let's say you're playing a little shuffle.
And I'm always pointing at people.
It only works with this lid, right? Now imagine if I did that without a ring. Look what would happen. Look how stupid that looks. You see how stupid that looks?
You're right. That's intolerable.
But here's another thing: is it's heavier. So when you're heavier, you can sometimes, most people bend up, right? But you can bend down. If you're wearing rings, it's a little easier to start up and just kind of like let it. Or sometimes you give it one of these. So that's why you got to have it on both hands, like that.
I'm gonna remember that one.
Oh, there's also, we talked about this a long time ago when we did videos, but the last thing you got to do with tone is you got to make sure you know how to do the car horn, and that'll get you through a lot. If you don't know what to play a solo, that's all you got to do. And it doesn't matter where you are, but as long as it's out of key.
Oh yeah, it can't be in key. Can't be. Can't be.
But in all seriousness, if you're a young kid and you want to get better at guitar, play in a trio where you're the only guitar player and play with 0 effects, and watch your playing get to the next level in 3 gigs. I guarantee you.
Yeah, I mean, Blake, that's pretty much what you do, man.
I was going to say, and then you can go until you're like 30 and go the opposite route, and you meet a really good friend of yours who talks you into buying 6 different pedal boards and 25 pedals on each board, and then you're like, damn it, I wish I could still play the way I did 7 years ago when I was actually pretty decent. Because I used to play with just a tuner, and I won't lie, though, I had to have a little bit of reverb on the amp.
Sure.
For me, always. That's all I want, but I pretty much have to have it.
Yeah, but I've now switched because back then, Mike, I was playing the Archon, and I was doing like more like high gain stuff that was way oversaturated, and I was rolling the volume down. Now I've switched to the other things you've seen, the Vox or the small, ironically, the Jerry Cantrell Friedman but with the gain on 2, and then using an overdrive instead when I have to do those songs. But I mean, back then it was just literally all like pretty high gain stuff and a little bit of reverb. And I think I grew up at the same time, as well as I got dumb enough to buy 4 different types of overdrives for one pedal board.
No, I mean, hey, we all go through phases as guitar players.
I mean, literally right here. I bought this just because it was the last one I could find, and they don't make them anymore. It's the Butch Walker Signature by JHS.
Oh, there he is.
And for no reason, but Butch Walker's like, to me, it's like, okay, well, I have to have that because.
Oh, sure.
Butch Walker.
So, no, are your clubs starting to open again in Oklahoma City?
You know, right now as we speak, it's a little iffy. There's a couple clubs that opened right up. We in Oklahoma, we had phase 1 of opening May 1st, and there was a couple clubs that opened right up, but most of them didn't. So I kind of told myself I'd wait till the end of May to start opening my schedule up because I was really busy. I mean, I was playing 12 times a month. So this is tough to not be playing. But yeah, I would hope if our numbers keep going well, everything should be somewhat back to some kind of normalcy by September. So I hope to start gigging a little bit here and there in July and go from there.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think, Blake? I mean, we might in Maryland maybe have some outdoor gigs, end of summer maybe. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I've heard 1 or 2 things about indoor places. So it's also actually scaring me because you've seen us at the Admirals Cup. You've played with us at the Admirals Cup.
Yeah.
They're talking about whenever they open, they're going to do live music, but it's going to be like 25 to 50% capacity with tables.
Oh, no.
So my brand, I might not fit anymore. If we're being honest, you know what I mean?
Well, certainly not you and your ego.
Right. Not at the same time. All the tables would be full. There wouldn't be room for patrons. But my problem is, I mean, the music we're playing, like Dustin and I were talking about, are we going to have to learn, some more softer stuff? Are we going to have to acoustic, kick snare, hi-hat, like that kind of vibe, which, I hate with a passion. Mm-hmm. Also, I heard a bad rumor about the highest paying room in the city, which is a corporate chain.
Mm-hmm. Gone?
Maybe not reopening.
Well, I've got a couple clubs that I play that I'm waiting to hear if they reopen at all. I mean, it's tough business. Mm-hmm. And operating at 30, 40, even 50% is cutting their razor thin margins. And, that's what I'm worried about is Oklahoma City is, I don't even want to tell people how great it is here because I don't want musicians to come here and take my business. But it's a great city to gig in, and people really, really treat you well. And I'm curious to see if there's going to be a lot of pay cuts going on.
Dude, yeah. Aren't you so happy to be out of LA? I mean, Jesus.
I couldn't stand LA the last 7 years I lived there.
I mean, it's so wild, right? You moved to like basically any other town besides, I guess, probably New York and maybe Nashville these days. And it's like people like pay you for gigs.
Let's see. Someone says, what's wrong with Austin? Austin is now Los Angeles. That's what's wrong with Austin.
Yeah,
no one's getting paid.
Put in there too. But I mean, even when we lived in LA, I mean, it was pay to play. Like it wasn't like places really pay.
No, and even I mean, I ended up having a residency at the piano bar, and that was paid, but it wasn't. I mean, it was better than anything else in town.
But even then, I mean, you were probably there for what, like 5 years, and you probably got more pay within a couple months of moving to Oklahoma City.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I also kind of had and this is a whole other subject, but I mean, when you move to a different market later in life, when you're not a kid anymore, man, I had all the time in the world to laser focus on what exactly my package was going to be.
Yeah.
And how it was going to look and what it was going to sound like and what I was going to do. So I was just, I was ready for anything. And I'm just glad the gigs came.
Hey, Noah, BV wants to know if you know Robert Keeley. I don't know who he is, but do you?
Old man Keeley's kid? I didn't know he had a kid.
I guess that's a no.
I was thinking that was the guy that makes the pedals.
Oh,
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah, Todd Lambert, Austin sucks now. Wife and I left Northern Virginia 3 years ago. Never been happier. I mean, I'm sure Texas is still like
Austin has been run over by Californians. That's pretty much true. But Austin's always been the liberal bubble in Texas. I mean, that's all. I did South by Southwest in 2009.
Wow.
And I have fond memories of it, but it's definitely not Texas.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, but I mean, I want to also let people know that you did something really, really cool that I didn't see many other people do during this quarantine. You know, everybody was doing live shows and raising money, and he actually raised money for the bar staff at all the clubs where you played. And how much money did you raise? Like thousands and thousands of dollars, right?
Yeah, we did. I did about $5,000 altogether. And we ran it I did it right here where I'm sitting. We called it Garage with a Cause. And yeah, five grand. And I wish it was 10, but it helped out some people. And
dude, I just think that's so cool. Like whenever gigs come back in your area, you know, you're gonna be not that you weren't already in with those people, but I'm sure that they were beyond appreciative because just like you know, they live on, you know, the patrons coming out and
for sure. I mean,
all that.
It was a silver lining. I mean, I got some press out of it, and it was great to give back. I bartended for a long time, so you know, once your bar closes, you're out of money in about 2 days.
Yeah,
you know. So what I contributed was pennies compared to other things, but no, I was happy to do it. It felt like the only thing to do. So
yeah, right on. Well, gentlemen, anything else before we call it an evening? Anybody want to add something? It's been a couple hours here.
I mean, I hate to be corny, but if you're a kid and you're watching, keep practicing. Get good.
That's the trick. Keep it in your hand.
And then keep it in your hands. And once you get good, then get original. Steal everyone's licks and then mash them all together and tell people you did not steal them.
That's not the worst advice, actually.
I mean, what do? You got to steal all the licks anyway. You know.
What do you think, Blake?
I mean, I think it's pretty solid. I was reading Scotty's Hobbies about some tips on how to stay motivated to practice as a dad. I'm basically starting from scratch at this point, but don't have much time. Yeah, there it is. I think he's asking about practicing guitar while being a new dad.
Yeah.
I'll be the one in this group to tell you that I lack probably that same motivation. But what happens is you have to, like, I have a day job. I have 2 day jobs, one of which is right now currently on lockdown, and we're not sure when it's going to start. The second one, I'm working every day. My wife works with our son. She takes him to work. She's a nanny. And I'm having a hard enough time coming home and trying to play guitar. I was supposed to plug in today and record some riffs for my day job to use for Instagram videos, which has been inspiring to try and do stuff that way. But my best friend called, and he wants to design T-shirts and hoodies and hats for his local charter fishing company. And he also needed help replacing the ramp up to a shed in his backyard. So I ate my lunch and took off over there. And I meant to pick up a guitar for 4 or 5 hours today and never did it. Yeah. So, I mean, the biggest thing is finding a way. I'll tell you, I don't know what kind of situation you are in financially, Scotty, but the best way to practice is when the kid's asleep, if you have a universal aux box. And you can plug your headphones in or any sort of like load box thing. Like I know Boss makes one now. I don't know what that actually is called. I think it's like the Waza Craft load bearing unit or something. I just made that up. But if you do that, you know, you can sit in the dark while your wife's asleep, while your kid's asleep, and you can actually play and rehearse with no audible volume other than just your strings. So that would be my biggest suggestion. Is it used to be those Rocktron little mini amps with the headphones that the dude Tom Scholes made. I had one of those in high school, so I wouldn't wake my parents up. You can even buy one of those probably somewhere on eBay. Be just as fine.
What's your schedule like, Noah? You're a dad. I mean, you work, you practice. How do you fit it in? How do you prioritize it?
To be honest with you, when we went on lockdown, I didn't touch guitar for it all until the Friday night that I would do my show on Facebook.
Yeah.
But I've also been playing since I was 6, and so I know Mike and I have talked about this. Sometimes, it's important to have it in your hands all the time, but sometimes it's important to put that fucking thing down and come back to it. So I honestly, yeah, and I mean, it's the way when my kid was first born, I found a way to just incorporate it into my style of parenting. I just march around and follow my kid around and blast guitar at him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
As I'm sure you both do. So like, if I was like being a serious guitar player and I wanted to record all the time, I'd be super depressed because I don't have any time to like do a bunch of recordings. But if you just want to dick around with, licks, just keep a guitar next to you all the time.
No, it's definitely true. I mean, it's not uncommon for me, even that if I do this for a living, these days during quarantine, I've been grinding pretty good, but it's not uncommon for me every 6 months or so to like put it down for 2 weeks, or something like that. And I've always done that. I've never been one to take guitars on vacations,
but if you were on like some crazy learning kick, you wouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's different. That's different.
Right.
But yeah. I do think having some space sometimes will make you play stuff that you otherwise wouldn't, just like sometimes a new guitar will, or moving or doing whatever.
Exactly. Yeah.
I definitely think that's true. But
yeah,
for me personally, I do it when they're gone or asleep, man. Like I wake up early and stay up late, like even though if I'm not gigging, like I'll always be a night owl, and like I can't sleep at all. It's just like that's when I do it,
Yeah, the hardest part is also being. Go ahead, no.
I was going to say, while I see it, Psycho 406. Can you bring that on the screen? I'm in high school and I stand out in my school, and it kind of sucks, dude.
You're gonna love that when you're 30. Cherish it now.
Let me tell you something. So, all right. So picture this. Psycho, whatever your real name is. I bet it's Jeff because you're cool. So,
hi, Chad.
So when I was in high school and I went to junior prom, so junior year, and I had a girlfriend, and everyone in the group, and by this time I was in bands, I was playing, and I was weird, and by this time and everyone in the group, all the guys were supposed to rent cream colored tuxedos, and it was the dumbest shit I had ever seen in my life. And so I went to a thrift store and I bought a polyester suit and a mismatched tie and mismatched shoes, and I wore it. And my high school girlfriend's mom came up to me and she's like, "Can't you just be like everyone else for one night?"
Well, that's fantastic.
And I laughed at her and I went, "No, there's no chance." So, hey, man, like he said, I mean, you're gonna be fine, dude. Everyone that was weird in high school is fucking rad in my book. So
yeah. And his name's Logan, by the way. So what up, Logan?
What's up, Logan?
Logan, you're an American. You're an American hero.
I stand by that, though. I was 6'2", 170 pounds. I played baseball. I'm 6'4" now and like 265, fat. But that's because I drink way too much beer. So don't do that, Logan. But what happens is I pole vaulted because the baseball team was all politics at a Catholic school. So I pole vaulted. I also played guitar in a band that I thought was awesome. I didn't care what anybody else did. And then number 3, it's made out to be the best thing in the world because right now all those kids that I went to high school with that were all like the lax bros and they were cool, and the nerd that skipped religion class to play guitar was a jerk off. They all actually don't have jobs, and I got 4 playing guitar, singing, 2 other day jobs. Like Logan, you're gonna be all right, brother. I promise you that.
Oh, dude. Yeah, trust me, you've got a leg up on the competition.
Yeah, for sure.
I have no idea what happened in high school.
Probably way more creative than all those other people too that don't understand you. So take that for what it's worth.
Hey, man, and you know, and I was thinking about this today as well. You know, I was about to say, oh, go find some people that are weird like you. Yeah, that's fine and dandy, but never hang out with people that are like you.
No, you won't get anywhere. You won't grow.
You won't learn anything. You gotta go out and you gotta go when you get out of high school. I want you to make friends with a banker. I want you to make friends with a bookie. I want you to make friends with a Coke dealer, and I want you to make friends with someone that works at a comic book store. And I want you to hang out
with all of them at the same time.
I want you to have a poker night with them every Thursday night.
Definitely a weeknight.
Yeah, I'm suggesting don't hang out with them all at the same time.
Monday through Thursday.
You know, this is horrific advice.
No, it's not.
This is terrible advice. But listen, hey,
we all turned out okay.
You could be on your way to making almost $30,000 a year. It could happen.
Or you could work 4 jobs just to pay your mortgage, but you got a family, you got a house, you got a son, you got a nice golden retriever that doesn't like water because she's a broken golden retriever. I haven't figured that out yet. But other than that.
So, as a pole vaulter, the female pole vaulters are the hottest chicks on the track team.
No, sir. I went to an all-boys school. I cannot answer that question.
Well, didn't you have to compete? Didn't you go to tournaments?
We did.
Did you just say tournaments?
Tournaments.
I will not answer that question. This is the internet.
This pole vaulting talk. Never saw anybody work harder than the pole vaulters.
They were just a little nuts.
I finally found my calling, bro. I'm now going to be a pole vaulting life coach on YouTube's.
Hey, look, we got another weirdo in high school that's named Caulfield, just like a Catcher in the Rye. Let's see. I'm in high school. I'm weirder than hell. Balloon twist. What the fuck is balloon twist? Like made animals and shit. 18 this month, and I stick out like a sore thumb. High school sucks, but the weird ones rule. Yeah, dude, you should never stop twisting balloons.
Yeah.
That is a dexterity skill.
Link right now so he can twist a balloon on camera with us.
Send him my address. I want him to come over to my house and twist the balloon.
My son's gonna be 2 in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
we can have a party. You got to wear a mask and gloves, though. Apparently, I don't know.
My God! And
someone random comes in. Nicole goes, "I don't really know who these guys are." Hi, Nicole.
Hey, Nichols.
Yeah. Did you
whose father was an alliteration specialist? Did you hit a pole? Did we all hit a pole?
Yeah.
Which one hit a pole?
True story. Swear to God. I can't make this up. My best friend, we were in like 10th grade. My best friend and I went to Walmart with his parents.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to his dad, and I was looking over here, and I walked straight into a flagpole. Hands down, I did that. So that was me, Nicole. I did that. And if you can't tell, we are people that we got guitars and families, and I don't know about you two, but I can sing pretty well. So
I can't sing at all.
I just hate singers, so I just had to figure it out.
There you go with that again. Just can't stand singers. I do have a trio though, Noah. And I like knives. So we got 2 out of 3.
But you do play guitar too, so
yeah, I didn't have a choice.
Yeah, I never sang, but when Noah and I used to go and do open mic nights at the Hostel in Hollywood.
Oh my God!
I'd get all completely trashed and start reciting like Doors poem, like Jim Morrison lyrics. That's the closest.
No. You would recite Parliament Funkadelic.
Oh, that's right. I would do.
Saturn Tuffet, smoking some THC.
Yeah, along came a side. Bitch. What's happening, Houston?
At least that's what you did when you were drunk. Last time I was drunk, I almost fell asleep on this here show 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, they can they can get away from you a little bit.
Well, we went till 1 a.m. and I was just like falling asleep. I finally like, Michael, and then you didn't hear me. And then like 10 minutes later, I was like, Michael, you're like, yeah, dude, you gonna check out? I was like, yep, going to sleep.
Yeah.
Time to go.
Yeah.
Oh,
let's see here.
These are good. These are good questions, though. I'd rather talk to people that want life advice.
What is going on here?
We might have started a tornado.
you guys have some dice with you?
No, I don't.
No,
All right.
but I've been killing scratch offs lately. So if you want to gamble, we can do it.
And if you're in Oklahoma, you can pick up some of these. These are Noah Eng's patented fine American dice.
I'm going to text you my address and I'm going to Venmo you some cash for that one.
Well, dude, do you you know that he actually sells those dice at shows, because obviously no one buys like CDs or anything anymore. And you actually sell dice? Do people buy them, and how much are they?
Well, that's another thing that I did right before COVID happened. I literally put these together, and then all my shows got canceled, like one by one. So yeah, you can pick these up at shows when I start playing again. You throw more than $5 in the tip jar, you get a pair of dice.
Dude, look at this. People are rocking P-Funk lyrics. Old Mother Hubbard went to the cupboard to fetch poor Rover a bone. She bent over, Rover drove her, and now she's got a bone of her own.
We started a tornado.
Oh, dude, I love it. The kid was kicked back. He was lining the cut, eating some fish and chips, when this funky little groupie from the funky side of town began to give him some lip. And, she was babbling about how bad she could do the bump. And the kid said, on the real side of thing, Bertha, you got too much rump to bump. Laughing at you. George Clinton and the limericks, I mean, did he invent rapping, basically? Is that basically attributed to him?
It could be argued.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't have any content on that, so that's you guys.
Yeah. Well,
Astro says I'm a middle-aged banjo player, which is what I tell people all the time. I'm just going to leave that right there.
I love it. All right. I say we leave it there, gentlemen. Blake? Noah, you want to play us out one?
No.
All right, Blake, I'm gonna give you the bump here, and then I'm gonna follow up with Noah. But
cool. See you guys. Noah, nice to meet you.
Great to see you
informally on here on the interwebs.
Nice to meet you.
All right, BV,
Anyway.
Vandy Man and Fantasy Kingman, thank you so much for moderating, keeping all the lunatics at bay as always. Greatly appreciated. Noah, if you're new to I know you are new to these internets, if you're wondering how come there's not any crazy people on here, it's because there are really nice, generous people who moderate and block them and remove their comments. Are you there? Noah? Did I lose you? All right. Well, anyway, thank you guys so much. If you guys are curious, please hit the link in the description. You can follow Noah. You can go to his website. Again, thank you guys so very much. Cheers. I will see you super soon. And stay tuned for all the fun stuff.